Donnelly says the property had a long-standing tenancy which had been registered and renewed with the RTB on a number of occasions. Jennifer Bray of the Irish Times says Minister Donnelly's error arose following the controversy surrounding Junior Minister Robert Troy.
We undertook a survey in the Irish Times where we got in touch with any of the politicians who had registered rental properties on their Dáil register of members' interests. One of those properties did not appear when I searched for it last week. A property rented out by the Minister for Health, Stephen Donnelly. We had questions in on that property since last week, and today we received confirmation that this property had not been registered with the Residential Tenancies Board since 2019.
170,000 gas and electricity customers are bracing for a major price rise this October. PrepayPower.ie has announced that prices will rise for electricity users by up to 19%, while gas customers will see prices jump by almost 30%. In a statement, the company says, were it not for our extensive hedging operations, these increases would be significantly higher. Murderers and other criminals could be facing a compulsory 20 years behind bars before they're permitted to apply for parole. The Justice Minister is working on a number of reforms, including harsher sentences for heinous crimes and less prison time for minor convicts. Minister Helen McEntee told the Hard Shoulder here on News Talk when she expects the new law to be introduced.
So this is over the next 2 years. So some of the actions are very clear cut. So the minimum tariff for the life sentence that we just discussed, that the intention is that it will be brought forward in legislation in early next year, so 2023.
A jury's been discharged after failing to reach verdicts during the 4-week trial of Ryan Giggs at Manchester Crown Court. He had denied using controlling behaviour against his ex-girlfriend Kate Greville, as well as assaulting her and her sister. The prosecution will now have to decide if they want a retrial, which could take several months to organise. It's coming up to 3 minutes past 7.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Bored with wet weekends? Plan a city break in Berlin, London or Paris.
Tonight will be dry and largely clear with some patches of mist or fog developing. Lowest temperatures of 8 to 12 degrees in light northeasterly or variable breezes. And now you're up to date. More in an hour.
The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, for an effortless finish to your day. New Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
This is News Talk.
Welcome along to Wednesday Nights Off the Ball. Richie McCormack here with you until 10 p.m. tonight. Busy show on the way. What next for Donegal? Where are they heading and who will be their next manager? We'll try and make sense of what's going on up there at the moment with Cathal O'Kane and Brendan Devaney after 8 o'clock tonight. And also as well, the managerial situations at a number of Ulster counties, and indeed as the player exodus continues from Tyrone. Lots of the big seeds gone, especially in the women's draw at the US Open. Emma Raducanu, the defending champion, falling at the first hurdle. Naomi Osaka's struggles continue. Simona Halep has also been bombed out of the tournament, as has Stefanos Tsitsipas. But Serena and Rafa remain for now. We'll talk to Caitlin Thompson after 7:30 on the first 2 days at Flushing Meadow, as eventful as they have been. Another 2 points drop for Everton last night in the Premier League and their start to the season under Frank Lampard. We will assess that start with Greg O'Keefe as part of the football show after 9 o'clock. Also in there, we'll hear from Republic of Ireland head coach Vera Pauw and captain Katie McCabe ahead of tomorrow's crucial World Cup qualifier with Finland at Tallaght Stadium, and all of the updates from a busy night in the Premier League. 5 games in all, getting underway at 7:30, continuing then through to the game at Anfield at 8 between Liverpool and Newcastle United. 53106. If you want to get in touch with us tonight via text, you can tweet us at Off the Ball. Delighted to say I'm joined in studio by Ronan Mullen and also by Cathal Mullaney. Gentle, you're welcome. Gentlemen, even.
Hi, Richie.
Can I just get it out of the way first? Ronan's sweatshirt is just, it's a work of art, essentially. It is official tour merchandise from the Abba Voyage gig in London, which you were at a couple of weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not one for hyperbole, but it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was just tremendous visual aural experience. I remember I ordered the tickets ages ago because they came out, I think, before Christmas, and you're kind of thinking nothing like this has ever been done before. For people who aren't aware, it's essentially just a fully hologrammed ABBA performance.
Well, beforehand it's been like sprung on people. So you had like Tupac at Coachella out of nowhere. Nobody saw that coming, and everyone afterwards was like, oh, a hologram Tupac, could this be the future of pop? And turned out to be yes is the answer.
So they put on the techno suits. Like I was unaware they've been doing this for about 6 years, putting this whole thing together, and the end product is just sensational. Like I didn't want any spoilers. I didn't want to know what it was like, but I wanted to know how it had been received. I remember looking at the Guardian review, it's like 5 stars, spellbinding. I was like, that's good enough for me. I don't need to know any more. So, yeah, like even if you're not an ABBA fan, I think most people are, just in the sense that everybody's found themselves at 1 o'clock in the morning singing along or dancing to an ABBA song.
Anybody who says they don't like ABBA either doesn't enjoy happiness or is a liar. One or t'other.
That'd be my sense of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
although the top is just magnificent, I have to say. It's just a nice plain green
that's what I was
sweatshirt
thinking, yeah,
with a kind of shadow, kind of Abba Voyage.
It was more
thing
so
in it.
the shade of green that caught me.
It's top.
Yeah, so
It's the top.
normally I'm the one commending your attire, Richie, but thanks for the thumbs up.
Go way out of that.
There's a Scottie Pippen jersey under there. Most people would go for the 23, but you went 33 because
game recognises game.
Scotty was the heartbeat of that team.
Yeah.
Anyone who watched The Last Dance would know that.
Sure, look, I don't want to brag. That's not what I'm here to do. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm always one of these people who wants to take away a piece of a game like that, or to, like, somebody who'll collect a programme from a big occasion. You know, that's, I want to take away that physical reminder stuff to just add to the bits and pieces of, the mental ephemera that goes with being on an experience like that. Have you got any sporting memorabilia like that at home?
I'm still hanging in there with the match programmes, even though they're of no use to anybody practically, because the team, well, it's not so bad now when they've got it's 26 limited players on a match day programme, and they can swap numbers in and out, but they can't just be adding like 9 players to the match day squad.
I've got a full box of match programmes at home, and if you look through the older ones, there's like a lot of them will have, now you have to name your players, but A and other, who remembers A and other?
Yeah. My favourite at the moment is trialist, when you see that during pre-season on Twitter. So you're like, there's 4 out of an 11 will be trialist. And you're like, who's the trialist? Or especially if he's in goal, because you're just like, that could be anybody.
There's been a sea change on the old Q&A as well, the favourite movie, Shawshank Redemption, etc. Like, a lot of people who are playing now haven't seen that film, so they're going with things like The Other Guys, or Armageddon, these kinds of things.
The Social Network.
Yeah, so I've noticed that in the last few.
In those player profile kind of things. Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any pieces of ephemera or memorabilia they want to share with us. To go with, to be fair,
we need
look at
some.
the studio here. It's barren at the moment. There's literally nothing on our shelves at the moment.
I remember very unprofessionally of me after Katie Taylor won her undisputed title fight at Madison Square Garden a few years ago. In fact, it wasn't just me, so all the other journalists got the programme signed, and I was walking out. I was one of the last people to leave the whole building, and I was getting the lift, and I opened the lift, and who was in the lift but Sugar Ray Leonard. And I was like, Sugar Ray, you're going to have to sign this as well. I didn't mind being unprofessional a few minutes ago, but I was literally begging him to sign it, so he did.
Are you like that old man in The Life Aquatic who approaches Steve Zissou with like a bundle of posters in his arm, and he's like, and this one, and this one, and this one.
It is.
Before you go, and this one.
It is funny, like, as much as there's the TMZ-ification of, celeb spotting.
Yeah.
Where they're just trying to doorstep people and ask them random questions to do a viral clip. There's equally these professional merchandise collectors who sell the stuff on eBay, and it's of no emotional attachment at all. So the likes of like Tom Brady and these people just get followed around with dozens and dozens of footballs asking them to sign it. So
O.J. Simpson made a living out of that when he was in prison, didn't he? Because I remember watching the 30 for 30 series that they did on it's basically on O.J.'s life, because it started off with him as a player and all that stuff. But
that's an unbelievable documentary.
If anybody hasn't seen that, by the way, seek it out. The 30 for 30, the entire it's 5 episodes, I think, on OJ. It's magnificent. But that's how he paid his legal bills for ages, is that his agent at the time was able to sneak in numbers, which, because he wouldn't be sneaking in a full jersey, you'd just be sneaking in the numbers. He'd get OJ to sign the numbers, he'd take them back out, and then they'd be stitched onto the jerseys, and they'd sell them for, because there still was, despite the fact that O.J. Simpson did O.J. Simpson things, that there was still a massive market for them, which is just perverse. But I'm sure people... Well, that reminds me in an opposite sense of, I have a jersey belonging to a team who I support. I don't want to give away names here. And it was, at the time, signed, and then it was signed by somebody who left the club in pretty bad circumstances. So I Googled a lot of how to scrub out a name from marker, written in marker on a jersey. Didn't work. It's still there. So essentially I've ruined the jersey twice in a way by getting the signature on it and then wanting it removed. If anybody has any tips on how to do that, by the way, even years removed, still be delighted to hear from you, because it does fit. 53106. Good call, Richie. The Social Network has taken over from The Shawshank as the official choice of the next generation
of
GA players.
It's a great film as well.
Thank you, G-Mac. Second choice is Moneyball.
Yes, both great films. Like, The Social Network is getting better as the years go by, just as we see what an abomination that platform was.
Yeah, but there was always these stock answers that everybody had for these. Everybody back in the 80s their favourite musician was Phil Collins. Phil Collins or Dire Straits. Every single footballer player profile in the 80s that you'd read and shoot. What music you like?
Phil Collins.
Stuff, but Phil Collins and Dire Straits probably be my two favourites. Yeah, constantly.
Well, I think the GA players have been a bit more adventurous with those Q&As now, in that they don't take them seriously at all, which can provide some level of interest, but they are very bland otherwise, aren't they?
Because otherwise it's like you're just ticking off answers.
Yeah.
You want somebody to play with the format, I guess, as well. You can tweet us as well at Off The Ball. We should crack into tonight's news round, which is brought to you with Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. We're going to be bringing you this game live, of course, tomorrow on Off The Ball, and we have some disappointing team news already from it, I would guess, Cathal?
Yeah, for sure, because the Republic of Ireland defender Nia Fahy is set to miss tomorrow's crucial World Cup qualifier against Finland. The Liverpool player has been ruled out through injury, but could be fit for Tuesday's meeting with Slovakia. Win, of course, for Ireland tomorrow night will secure a playoff spot, and it's a sellout at Tallaght Stadium. And manager Vera Pauw says it's going to be an occasion they're well prepared for.
But everybody's very focused on this game, of course, and everybody wants to do well, but it is not a high tensed and nervous situation. The opposite. Everybody is confident and relaxed, and we know we've played these games now, more of them, and not as a final, but this level of games we've played, and so we know what we are going to face, and we know the difficulties. You get nervous if you don't know what you face, but we know what we will face, and we know what we stand for. So I think that is the best way to deal with these situations. And I hope that this full house will shout us through the game, especially at the difficult moments.
Yeah, we'll hear more from Vera Pauw and indeed Captain Katie McCabe, who were speaking to her own Aisling O'Reilly at Tallaght Stadium this evening, later on the football show. A few texts in on the memorabilia thing already. Thank you for this. I got a jersey as a leaving present at work, says one texter. I was delighted until I realised it had been signed not by the team but by my workmates. Has literally never been worn. That is from Mick. Is that from our Mick or is it from another Mick? Oh my God, who's from here? People from the office signed it. What, was it a Villa jersey? No, it wasn't a Villa jersey, says he. It was a Clare jersey, and it was signed by the likes of Adrian Barry and Ger Gilroy. My God, why would you? That's ruined. Totally ruined. Should I have a framed or anything? No, he's laughing. Laughing, says he. There you go. We do have live games on tonight, as if we don't have enough football on our plates, Cathal. There's 5 games in the Premier League.
Yeah, 5 games down for decision tonight, and 3 of them underway from 7:30. One of them is Arsenal against Aston Villa. That game is at the Emirates Stadium from 7:30. The other game underway from 7:30 is Manchester City against Nottingham Forest. And then Bournemouth against Wolves 2 kicks off in about just under 20 minutes' time. And we get the team news now from the Vitality Stadium. Here's David Garrett.
Bournemouth stopgap manager Gary O'Neill makes 4 changes from the team beaten by 9 at Liverpool. The most notable is probably in goal, where Travers makes way for Neto, who will be the keeper. Lloyd Kelly is the skipper, Dominic Solanke and Philip Billing are in. Bournemouth have announced Southampton's Jack Stevens will join them on a season-long loan. The defender won't play today, though. Wolves unchanged tonight from the team that drew against Newcastle. They confirmed Sasha Kaladzic as a signing from Stuttgart earlier today, but the striker not involved. And while Bournemouth were accused of not turning up at Anfield on Saturday, Willy Bolly literally was a no-show for Wolves against Newcastle, but it is not a case of where's Willy tonight. He's joining Nottingham Forest. His absence has helped, it seemed, to engineer that move. So it feels like Wolves are going through a transitional period. Is it a good time to play Bournemouth after they lost 9-0? Maybe it's a terrible time to play the Cherries as they look for redemption and revenge. They should be revved up, but will they be good enough to hunt down Wolves? Bournemouth against Wolverhampton at the Vitality.
No, where's Willy? Thank you for that,
That's
David Garrett.
Tremendous journalism.
There was a fantastic, it was Adam Jury last night at the Leeds Everton game, managed to fit in a Flash Gordon reference for, because obviously, Anthony Gordon scored the opener for Everton, and he was like, Gordon was alive to the danger. I was like, super. Like, Brian Blessed would be proud. Top. That's harsh on Mark Travers, though, isn't it? Dropped.
Yeah, like if you're troubleshooting that performance the other day, to start with number 1 in the team sheet and think that's going to fix what ails us, I don't know. Like, we were chatting a little bit about this last night. You can't point at him explicitly and say he was severely at fault for that goal. There were a few ones, but when there's a barrage of shots coming in your goal like that, you can see how
the problems are further out the field.
Totally. And there was a little bit of gesturing between defence and goalkeeper, but like those games can, like the Bournemouth hierarchy, I've looked at it and thought it was emblematic of something bigger, but sometimes those results just happen in isolation, and tonight will probably tell the tale of that.
Yeah, I think again the Scott Parker issue is more of a deserved or not. It was, he clearly annoyed the owners to such a degree that they felt that they had no other option but to give him his marching orders. But for Travers, again, like we mentioned it last night, a new manager coming in after the previous one, showing so much faith in him to give him as many games as he did in the Championship last season and to help him get promoted, and then him being, you don't want to say blamed. Maybe it's an effort of taking them out of the firing line for a day, but with a position like goalkeeper, it just takes one good game. They could get a scoreless draw tonight, and Neto's in for God knows how long, and ruining his chances again then of trying to get into the Ireland starting 11. We do have other games obviously on tonight, Cathal.
Yeah, 7:45 start at the London Stadium where West Ham take on Tottenham, and then at 8 at Anfield it's Liverpool against Newcastle, and Newcastle's new signing Alexander Isak is named to start there in that game at Anfield. So a big addition for Newcastle ahead of that game this evening.
Yeah, thank you for your texts so far, by the way. These are all brilliant. The great GA favourite meal, because obviously this was only one of your other stock questions in
spaghetti bolognese?
Bacon and cabbage.
People were savage for bacon and cabbage. Some call it bubble and squeak. But a good steak and chips, drink milk. That's from Dan. Absolutely, you couldn't get no more Irish. Phil Harrington gloves, which I got after Cork City lost the league to Dundalk in the last game of the season, 91 I think, still have them, but the smell of DPs is long gone. That's from Alan in Cork. That's a class thing to have though, all the same, from Phil Harrington. Thank you for that text, Alan. 53106 if you want to get in contact as well tonight. One big move going through, I'm not sure if it would have prevented Chelsea losing last night, but certainly they are splashing the cash again today, Cathal.
Yeah, they certainly are. Chelsea have completed the signing of Wesley Fofana from Leicester City. He moves to London in a deal worth €81 million with a possible €6 million in add-ons. He's agreed a 7-year contract at Stamford Bridge and appeared to criticise Leicester on his departure in a social media post where he referenced what he described as false and misleading comments during the transfer process. And as you say, Richie, his signing comes a day after Chelsea's second Premier League defeat of the season. They lost 2-1 to Southampton last night. And speaking afterwards, manager Thomas Tuchel questioned the manner of his side's defending.
Soft defending. What stops that? Pure mentality. Stop it by pure mentality. Stop it with defending mentality. There is no superiority for the opponent. There is no need to give shots away. There is no need. Just toughen up and as a team and show different mentality. This is today my assessment.
He's essentially challenging Chopper from that Australian video where he goes around and tells sundry people to harden the F up. So that's what Thomas Tuchel is doing there. An interesting case study, Chelsea, because I don't know, their transfer business so far appears to be a bit scattergun. The Fofana one, I guess, makes sense. They, I don't think, have adequately replaced Antonio Rudiger in the heart of that defence. But again, you're kind of looking at them going, what are Chelsea this year? What are Chelsea's aims? It's very hard to kind of ascertain, especially from 2 of the last 3 games when they lost.
Yeah, it's been quite fragmented off the field, as has been well documented, and it's kind of seeped onto the pitch a little bit. To what extent there's any sort of firm correlation there, I don't know, but it can't help. Having said that, they have invested heavily, and there was a sense with some of their transfer business that, that club's in for them, maybe we should try and nip in with the Cucurella deal, where they seem to pay well over the odds in that instance. Still a good player. Fofana is a very good player, and from a Chelsea perspective, you're thinking of the knock-on effects where it'll free up Reece James to start right wing back every week, you would think. And from that point of view, I can see the logic behind it, but they're also linked with the guy Guardiola from Leipzig, and that's another €100 million with him going to join next summer. So Thomas Tuchel could conceivably, and maybe this is the grand plan, it's 11 defenders starting for Chelsea at some point this season. So
Steve Clarke's influence still, firmly at the club, really. What do you make of his comments, the Fofana ones, Cathal? Because it's unusual to see a player taking a shot like that on the way out, whereby their professionalism was questioned because they wanted the move, obviously, and that's what he did. But him to say, I see you, Brendan Rodgers, in his parting statement.
Yeah, a little bit unusual, I thought. And I would have thought maybe you could just leave it. He's got his move now and everything else, that he could just leave it there, but obviously he wanted to have that parting shot. And there does seem to be at Leicester just a bad atmosphere at the moment across the entire club, you would think, and that has been reflected in the results so far. And I'm not sure, do you get the sense that it's just waiting to happen that Brendan Rodgers departs there sooner rather than later?
Yeah.
Obviously, they've had a troubled summer and potentially another departure tomorrow as well with Tielemans. So, I mean, if that were to happen, I think the signs are ominous enough.
They surely are. Further bad news for Tommy Tuchel today as well.
Yeah, he's been fined for comments about match referee Anthony Taylor following their 2-2 Premier League draw with Tottenham. The German was unhappy that their opponents' goals were allowed to stand, and he suggested the official should not take charge of any of the club's future games. And he's admitted to a charge of improper conduct and will have to pay £20,000. Over to Manchester United, their manager Erik ten Hag says he expects Cristiano Ronaldo to remain at the club. When asked today, ten Hag appeared to indicate his desire that Ronaldo would stay, saying they need quality players. Ten Hag also added that United's business ahead of tomorrow's deadline won't extend beyond completing the signing of Anthony and the potential for Martin Dubravka's move from Newcastle to be finalised.
Yay, another 6 months of talking about Ronaldo. Class, can't wait.
And the World Cup in the middle of all that as well, so...
But the story will turn from he's not getting enough games in preparation for the World Cup, and he feels like his chances for Portugal are being hampered and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, like I thought Duncan Castle's phenomenal article at the weekend. I don't know if you saw.
Look, this is what I miss almost about Twitter, is I've forgotten about people like Duncan Castles are still out there playing the George Mendes fiddle.
Some of the phrases, and he plays all the hits in this one as well. It's just tremendous stuff. But there was a particular character assassination of Sporting Lisbon and their manager, and basically saying sources close to Ronaldo are saying this guy doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. Come back to me when you can win more than 1 in 3 games this season, that kind of thing. So yeah, I wonder what perceptions around Ronaldo are like in Portugal, because he's obviously been their talisman for over a decade, if not more. But then they've got such exciting, vibrant attacking talent. Have you seen any parallels here? And is his stodgy front play going to hold them back against... Is this a winnable World Cup? Like you would have said France were firm favourites again, especially with the addition of Benzema from the World Cup, the last one. But
I don't know.
I think it's up for grabs a little bit.
The closer we get to it, the more I'm kind of seeing that. Do you remember the episode of The Simpsons where they get the trampoline and there's loads of kids get injured and they start having that panning shot across the back garden where there's just loads of strewn bodies across That's the gap between August and November, is that there's... As we get closer to it, so many people are going to have knocks and are going to have long-term injuries and are going to be missing out. And
so maybe it's that sort of curtailed tempo, or if it is a little bit slower, having just a goal phenom like that in your team might be of benefit. So it's unprecedented in a lot of ways, so it'd probably be closer to the time before we get a firm read on it.
Wheeling him into position like some kind of medieval cannon.
Yeah.
A sad departure, I guess, from St. Pat's, and one of the stalwarts of the club and somebody who's been the heartbeat of Richmond Park for the last decade plus today, Cathal.
Yeah, Ian Birmingham set to depart St. Patrick's Athletic after 13 years at the club. The club's record appearance holder played 452 times for Pats, winning a league title and 2 FAI Cups. Birmingham will leave the club at the end of the season and looks set to retire from the game. Meanwhile, former Blackpool defender Alex Baptiste is signed for Waterford. The 36-year-old who played with Blackpool in the Premier League was most recently at Bolton.
Bermo, certainly one of those players I think every club in the League of Ireland wishes they kind of had. He's kind of the lifeblood of there. He kind of lives and breathes for the club and has been an exceptional performer for them for the guts of a decade or more.
For sure, and like one of those classic players that's important to use the adage have around the place, because he sets that tone. And you know, it's fair to say the last embers of his career he wasn't a week in week out merchant, but like he was kept around for a reason, and that's true of most clubs, I think, to have someone of that value.
Before we move on, Alex Baptiste is definitely not a real player and is definitely a character in Dream Team.
I was just thinking that.
Like 100% he has played 14 games in the season for Harchester before moving on to a championship club, without wanting to bring everything back to Dream Team, as I invariably do. Ireland's are going to have a chance to build squad depth, I guess, later on in the year, Cathal.
They are. Simon Easterby will lead an emerging Ireland squad on a tour of South Africa in September and October. A squad of 35 players will travel 4 games against 3 Currie Cup teams, with the first penciled in for September the 30th. Meanwhile, Ulster have confirmed that Jacob Stockdale is fit for the start of the new season. The Irish international has spent nearly a year out of the game with an ankle injury, but the province has confirmed he'll be available for selection for Friday's pre-season clash with Exeter in Belfast.
That's interesting timing for the tour and for the I guess Simon Easterby leading as well, possibly a snapshot of things to come in the future. We'll be talking to Caitlin Thompson very, very shortly about the first couple of days at the US Open. Day 3 is well and truly underway though, Cathal.
Yeah, it certainly is, and some big names falling. Maria Sakkari is out of the women's singles. She's been beaten just in the last few moments. Maria Sakkari, who is the 5th seed, she's been beaten by Xuyun Wang in the second round in a final set decider, 3-6, 7-5, 7-5. Elsewhere today, that's currently ongoing, Andy Murray currently in action, a set apiece with Emilio Nava in the men's singles at the moment. Daniil Medvedev, the defending champion, is in action overnight, and of course Serena Williams returns to court later on as well. She plays the number 2 seed, Annette Kontaveit, and that game is taking place at around midnight tonight Irish time.
Yeah, we'll be talking to Caitlin about Emma Raducanu and her first round exit at the hands of Alizé Cornet, and also of Naomi Osaka, and going out to Danielle Collins. The two of them couldn't have really had harder openings to the tournament either, because Cornet's been in fantastic form. Danielle Collins reaching the final of the Australian Open earlier this year as well. But we've got a squad in place for the next T20 World Cup qualifier, Cathal.
Yeah, the Irish women's cricket squad for next month's qualifier in the United Arab Emirates has been announced. Laura Delaney will captain the side with 15 players in all selected. There are 2 groups of 4 teams, with 2 set to advance to next year's World Cup in South Africa. Ireland will play Bangladesh, Scotland and the USA in the group stage.
Thank you for your texts so far on this tonight. The GEA Dream 5-a-side team is my favourite part of every GEA programme. DJ Carey must be in every hurling one. We need to actually, do you know what? If ever there was a live golf, tomorrow sports kind of thing that needs to happen, 5-a-side hurling.
Oh, how good would that be?
Let's get that streaming.
Yeah.
Let's put that out there. Let's copyright that right now. Also, someone saying, I can't believe we have an angry texter. By saying The Social Network is a great film.
It is a great film.
Is he implying, that's you, Ronan, that the Shawshank Redemption isn't? Please ask him to leave the studio.
No, I'm not.
I want you cast out. It's a Garden of Gethsemane.
It's a generational issue whereby I think the Shawshank Redemption was a stock answer, where if the person taking the survey opted not to answer, they just put that in there.
Yeah.
I presume that's what he was going to say.
I don't know. They seem pretty angry. I'm not sure. Has your anger been subsided by that answer from Ronan? I'm not too sure.
Shawshank Redemption is a great film. A great film.
Clip that, play it hourly, and you can stay in the studio, says Mick as well. I want to see that jersey, by the way, with everybody's names all over it, Mick, before we go out tonight. Cathal, thank you. Ronan, thank you as well. We'll be here from both later on tonight, of course. 5 games in the Premier League. We'll have updates from all of them throughout tonight's show as well. But it is cash machine time.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's Cash Machine.
Get this, Neil Matthews from Galway became our 101st winner of 2022 when he answered the call and gave back